This is David Cowen with Careers and the Business of Law. I'm with Nathan Reichardt today. Nathan is the lead managed services director at PwC, although that really doesn't tell you very much. I'll tell you that what I think of Nathan in terms of title and role and responsibility, he's the AI champion, one of many, but a senior innovation operations and legal services executive and an AI champion. And resides in Cincinnati, Ohio. He's a Midwest kind of guy. One of the practicalities that I've always liked about Nathan is that, he's direct, he's straight to it. I've known him since he was at Accenture back in 2011, then was the Discovery Solutions Director of Operations at WilmerHale, where we really got to know each other a little bit back in 2011, 12 through 22. And so, Nathan, it's so good to see you on Careers in the Business of Law. Welcome.
Great, David. It's great to be here. I'm excited to do this. I'm excited for the topic, and thanks for the warm introduction. Put a plug in for Cincinnati. If anybody's in Cincinnati, wants to experience the food scene, come and visit. Great city. Just shoot me a message. Happy to show you around. And
I
I
did my
we get
undergraduate work.
food here as well, David.
I
So
did my undergraduate work at Miami of Ohio. I sort of grew. I was a brash kid from Bayside, Queens, New York, and off I go to Cincinnati, and it was school. It was school on top of school. I learned a lot, and certainly a lot about how to lose a little bit of the edge on New York. You should have seen me before, folks.
Miami, what do they call Miami? The Harvard of the Midwest? Isn't that there's plenty of those?
Yeah, they do. They do. They
Yeah.
say something like that. Hey, we had the good fortune. We had spent many a year and many a breakfast when I was doing the breakfast series, and you were at WilmerHale. We got to know each other, and I came to respect you because you were so succinct and to the point, and you were always one of the smartest guys in the room, and always really curious and adaptable, and had such a growth mindset about what was going on. That was one of the first things that attracted me to you. And here we were just maybe 6 weeks ago out in Redmond.
Yeah.
We had 200 people at Solid AI. It's the first time we've done anything like that, really building agents and talking about AI. Just kind of catch me up a little bit, and then we're going to get into agents and observability, like observing agents and making the invisible visible with that. But tell me a little bit about your takeaway from Solid AI and what's come of that in just these short 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's been wonderful, I think there were a number of takeaways from Solid, and I would encourage those that haven't already explored a Solid coming to your city or near you to sign up, get in, learn, become smarter, collaborate with folks in the industry to understand that the art of the possible of agents. That's one of my key takeaways is we actually were able to get hands-on into the tech provided by Microsoft, configure agents, and really that opened up the aperture of sort of what is the art of the possible. And out of that, a couple of things happen. One, PwC takes this sort of client zero sort of approach to things. We want to, from the early days of AI, where we made a significant investment, we created AI champions. I'm one of those. There's thousands of them within PwC. We're kind of taking that on a smaller scale with our group. We're understanding how can we use agents to help automate a lot of those tasks. They're sort of rote on a small scale, learn and then scale from there. I think that's a perfectly great way to really understand the power of these and to innovate with your teams. Second, there's some great client conversations. A couple folks at T-Mobile had some wonderful conversations with them, what they're thinking about to get that outside in perspective of what are their key takeaways? Exactly the same sort of conversation, and maybe how do we collaborate on understanding, what is the art of the possible within a GC's office? What could we do together? I think it's really fascinating. It was an energizing experience. I know for many of the members of the team that were there, myself, Jeff Seymour, and company.
Yeah, what comes up for me when you say that is time together. Time together well spent
Yep.
with good people leads to trust. And I think that
Exactly.
we're at the beginning of that again in business. That if you, I mean, I don't want to say that e-discovery was solved. E-discovery was not solved, but we have all been on a journey for 20 years.
Yeah.
Uh, and so now is an opportunity to trust again those that uh, share a challenge, share a thinking, like to think out loud together. And so it's a rediscovery. So it's a marvelous opportunity. And you're presenting a topic today, or we're going to exchange ideas on a topic today that's new. I hadn't thought about, and I think maybe most people are going to be coming to this, for the first time, which is now that you've learned how to build agents and you're in build and you're building agents and you're adopting AI, whether these are vertical agents and it's vertical AI, right? It's purpose built specifically, or it's horizontal, like Copilot and Chat GPT, OpenAI, Perplexity. It's more horizontal.
Mhm.
Harvey and Lagora and Spellbook and others, those are more vertical. They're purpose built. But now we're building these agents in one way or the other. You had said, hey, David, you've got to observe these agents now. There's an observability to this, and it never occurred to me that I mean, one agent doesn't require much observing, but 1,000 is like a workforce. Can you open that up for us a little bit, defining observability and explain that?
I can, but maybe we start with a just sort of a story, right? Do you remember Night Capital at all,
Oh,
David?
I do. Yes.
So
You were
what's the
involved
fastest
with
way?
that, if I remember correctly. But didn't you have wasn't that like a big case with you guys?
I don't remember, maybe potentially, but what's the fastest way you could lose $500 million? I mean, there's plenty of them out there now, but like this is 2012.
Cyber attack.
So Night Capital lost $440 million in 45 minutes, all because of a single software error. So let me unpack that a little bit for you. So Knight Capital, for those that don't know, it's one of the biggest trading firms on Wall Street. It's stellar reputation, 17% of all US stock trading back in 2012. In August of that year, they're rolling out new trading software. On one of the servers that they deployed this software, they were running old test code, and that was something called PowerPeg, and it should have been deleted years before.
Mm.
And what happened was is when the markets opened, the server went rogue. And instead of trading normally, it started buying, selling thousands of stocks every second. No kill switch.
Oh
There's no
shoot.
dashboard to say, hey, this isn't normal. For 45 minutes, the system went wild, right? Stock, pumping up stocks artificially, crashing others. They were held to these trades. So by the time they figured it out, Knight had chewed through $440 million in losses. What happened? The stock dropped 75% in 2 days. They needed an emergency bailout to stay alive. Within 2 months, 2 months they were acquired. Essentially, a company that had been a powerhouse was effectively gone. Right? So why tell the story? To get it back to your observability point, agents, AI agents, at the heart of it are awesome. They're amazing. Citizen-led development on a much larger scale. They can reason, think, act, learn autonomously. We will solve some big challenges with agents. We're really excited about them. But think about that scale. They could also be the next system that could bring down the next like capital, only bigger, faster, and harder to stop.
Mm.
So
Yeah, you're moving into, let's maybe we can weave these two things together, see if we can find
yeah,
an intersection. So that was some of that software, right, was autonomous, right? Some
correct.
of it was some software and agents that are semi-autonomous, and that leads us to augmented intelligence. So, that's the human in the loop, if you will. So I don't want to go too far down the augmented intelligence loop, other than to just say, hey, listen, this is a thing. But let's talk about autonomous versus semi-autonomous agents and how you observe them.
Right,
Are
right.
they observable? How do you do that? See, that's a mystery to me. I'm still working on Notebook LM.
Absolutely. So, what does that mean? What are the elements of observability? What's the definition? We want to know in real time and have end-to-end visibility into agent actions, the what, the why, and the how. And so, another way to think about this in a more abstract way is, I'm an employee within PwC. I have a manager. Agents are going to be first-class citizens within the enterprise. They're going to have rights and capabilities, just as I do as an employee. I am measured by my boss. I have accountability to my clients. All of that is sort of in a framework, right? And I meet one-on-ones with my manager twice a month. We check in, we look at my metrics, my pipeline, my engagement revenue managed, all of those sort of things that you sort of are measuring me as an employee. We want to do the same thing with agents, right? But there's just a bigger availability of metrics and logs.
Hmm.
So when we establish observability, what do we want? We want accountability and adaptability. We want to log every decision, action, and data interaction to satisfy the governance standards. Governance is big here. We want compliance as the second element. So is there bias, right? Are we, are there policy breaches? We want risk mitigation. These agents, to your point, can operate across a lot of the enterprise uh, into finance, HR, compliance data. So we understand the reasoning paths and the tool usage. And lastly, transparency. You're around in the TAR 1.0 days, David, right? What was the biggest complaint there?
Black box.
Blacks. What do we want now? We want a glass box.
Hmm.
We want to move from black box to glass box. There's got to be explainable behavior here.
That's a great visual. That's a great visual, black box to glass box and transparency. You know, you're making me you're making me think of the question that I want. Like you could dig into any one of those, but here's what I want to know. So I understand what you're saying. I understand why you're saying it. So I don't know how that works, and so I immediately go to who's in charge of that, because if everybody's full, right, and working at 101 or 105 or 110% right now, which we all are, right, and that happens from time to time. So we're just in that period. Let's accept that for just a moment, okay, not long, but a moment. Who is in charge or takes the lead or gets engaged with this? What are you seeing across your clients and across the Fortune 500 from your point of view?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of different elements there. There's the foundational elements of, do you have a responsible AI policy, right? What is the governance that uh, your IT team, your attorneys, that collaboration between those elements and those functional elements of the organization have put in place to establish the governance and guardrails, that responsible AI framework. And then you, as a citizen-led developer, should understand, if I put agents or orchestrated agents into the wild, what is my responsibility as that developer? What tools do I have from my IT organization, from whoever's launching the agents, to be able to observe that behavior in real time and over time? And that's, I think, extremely important to understand snapshot and trend.
Can we come back to responsible AI policy for a minute? I've heard that so many different times, and it usually just passes by me. I'm
Yeah,
like, that's a thing, but it's not my thing, and I don't know what that thing really is, but there must be somebody somewhere that's responsible for that. And it feels it feels a little policy-ish, where it's like, whatever, that's the policy and it's in a handbook. You're unwrapping that like, no, you really need to understand some of the core components of this. It's not just a thing off to the side. Who's leading this and who's going to be coming into this more than they even realize today? Like, once upon a time, there was no such thing as legal operations. And then all of a sudden it became a thing. And it's like,
right.
then like, Connie Brenton and Mary O'Connell and a half a dozen others like get together and go, like, this is like a really serious thing, and it unwraps. Is AI is responsible AI kind of like it's going to encompass much more than we think today?
Absolutely. And let me unwrap that. What is responsible AI, a little bit for the audience and for you, David. And the key here is when we think about responsible AI, and people much smarter than me have come up with PwC's framework. The key here is observability is the through line. In all the elements of responsible AI, you have to have observability. So let's break that down. First is governance and guardrails. Rules only matter if I can see if the agents are following them.
Mm.
So I've got a 16-year-old daughter. She's learning how to drive. This weekend we went to someplace hour and a half away. She's getting her hours in, and I'm in the passenger seat and she's driving. I'm observing, right? I'm seeing where she's going too fast, too slow. She's not turning on her turn signal soon enough, too late, braking too hard. Better believe I'm giving her that feedback. And
Mhm.
if I have to, I'm going to grab the steering wheel.
Mm.
So we get there. It's about an hour and a half away. It's time to leave, and she looked at me and she said, "Hey, Dad, can you drive home? Because I really need to get to my friends tonight, uh, and I don't want to be late."
Mhm.
Here's what she didn't say. You're going to speed and get us home quicker, and I'm not going to observe any of what you do. And chances are you're probably not going to run into any cops where we are. So get us home quick, right? So there is no guardrails there, to a certain extent, right?
Less guardrails, less
Less
guardrails.
guardrails. Yeah, yeah. So that's one element. You can only, you have to have metrics to measure. Two is integration and orchestration. Agents touch multiple systems, finance, HR, compliance. Myself as an employee, I have access to those systems as well, right? I can access my HR data. I can do searches there. I can go into finance. I can pull reports. Same sort of thing. If we're treating the agents as first class citizens here, we better understand what are they doing as they go into those other systems. Is there observability? You have to observe those agents moving across those silos and what they're doing. Third is, sorry, third is human in the loop oversight, right? You still need to validate the outcomes. Observability is it gives the ability to course correct, right? We want human in the loop oversight. I want a manager and a leader. I
Mhm.
want somebody to help me better my career, to guide where I'm going. Same thing with human in the loop oversight. And finally, measurement and feedback is the fourth element. Observability is the heart of continuous improvement. Without measurement, you can't refine those models or those optimize those workflows. So that's
You know,
really how we think about that.
as we're talking about this, I'm coming up with, I'm thinking of a sports, I'm thinking of any one of a number of sports analogies here. I'm thinking about the player, then I'm thinking about the player coach, the trainer, the coach, the general manager, the fans. You can look at it like that, or you can look at orchestration. So if you've got kids, I think the majority of our audience has kids of one age or another or has been through this. So if it's basketball and soccer which is moving, it's like, wait, the forwards move or football, the forwards moving too fast or too slow or not in conjunction or rogue, right? Wide receiver in football goes rogue. Wait, you're not even on the field anymore. You're like up and in the stands and you're out. So somebody's got to bring the wide receiver back. In soccer, somebody's got to make sure that you're not off sides. Soccer might be good since so many kids are playing soccer these days. And so, wait, you're off sides. You've got to be on sides. Wait, what? The goalie just literally left the net. Wait, the goalie's got to come. So these are things we learn to do step by step. We raise our kids. Whether it's t-ball or it's skiing or tennis or gymnastics, soccer, these are all they're learned. You don't do that overnight. You don't just get on a court. You need a lot of coaching, observability. You've got to assess. Um, some people keep training logs and they're really on it. There's something about that. There's a visual there that I think is. I'm just imagining all of these. I mean, I'm just imagining my kids when they were, 5, 7, 3, 5, and 7, just running all over the place until they learned the rules. They had to learn
Yeah.
the rules, and we had to bring them. And by the way, the parents had to get together and go like, okay, what are we going to do about Johnny? Because he is like all over the place. Somebody's got to get Johnny under control. And it takes a village.
Yeah, it does. And I think you're hitting on there's a progression to this as well,
That's it.
right?
Progression.
You know, if you've ever coached any sport, and soccer is my sport, I still play to this day, but I coach my daughter from Bumblebee, U4, U5 soccer all the way up to um, just before she went into high school, off and on. And what I was doing as a coach observer in Bumblebee soccer, which is just make it fun, make them interested, give them some little bit of dribbling skills, all the way up to, U12, where we're doing 11v11. I've got to teach them the different movements and the different positions, why we're lining up that way. When the ball goes to this area to the pitch or the field, where do these specific positions need to move when we have the ball? And then I've also got to give them that feedback. Well, you're not doing that, right? Here's how the other team's reacting. And so this is a much more complex obligation as an observer, where you have to start small, like we just are doing with the agents in our team. Start small, observe what happens, and then progress your skill set over time. Pick that. But it just has to happen rapidly today, right? And there are tools and people and experiences to help you do that. There's thought leadership out there. It's never been easier to learn how to do this and to garner the experience of others and gather the experience of others. I think it's just, the aperture of opportunity for folks in this space is amazing.
The opportunity is exactly where I was going to go because you're explaining or you're describing something that doesn't exist yet, but there's going to be a growing demand for talent, right? For talent that gets this. So, I don't actually want to build agents, Nate. I don't want to build them. Okay. I don't even want to manage them, but I do want to observe them. That's interesting to me. I'd like to sit up there and be that guy, right? That's observing and watching and calling out the play, right? Like the defensive coordinator on a football team, like watching what's going on. I don't want to get on the field, all right? I'm not good at that, right? So that wouldn't be for me, but being up in the booth would be of interest. Some people that are listening to this would be like, no, 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 I want to be on the field. I want to be the guy on the field, guy, gal on the field doing it. Like that's great. But what I'm seeing is this expansion of roles that did not exist before. You just like there's this whole new one here, and I suspect that um, you're going to intersect forensics here somewhere, right? There's going to be someone's going to now that you're observing, you're like, I'm going to observe you observing. I think that's called regulation and complying. And
Yeah,
now I've got to
absolutely.
observe the observers.
Absolutely. Y- You know, this is the argument for why is a team so important, right? This is if you don't have a team where you're working that, is the person that builds the agents so you can be the observer.
Mhm.
You're not collaborating with them, leveraging each other's talents to help advance the organization in your careers, then I think you're missing out. It would be great if I could say, hey, I got this great idea and this strategy and this vision, and we could build out this agent workforce and yada yada yada. But if I don't have the buy-in and the talent to do that on my team, it's not going to go anywhere.
Well, how does that give us, if you will, is it three steps or five or seven? You've got a Gen AI champion network, right? And I'm not familiar exactly with what goes into that. So let's just say I'm listening and I'm like, well, that's great, but now what do I do and how do I do it? What are the steps that are involved with getting something like this off the ground, which is just the network that you're talking about?
Yeah, and I think, there's a couple of things I want to mention here. One is there is we'll put together an agent AI readiness checklist. We'll get it attached to the show notes. But from a just basic fundamentals, what do I need to think about when I'm deploying an agent into my enterprise? Beyond that checklist, which will have a lot of thought provoking and making sure observability is one, but there's many other dimensions here. You got to compliance as one as another. But beyond that, it's sort of like, what problem am I going to solve with agents? So I think we have to think about These are very easy to develop, very easy to deploy. Um, they're citizen led. And so what does that mean? What do I need as far as a team to help me deploy those agents? And what problem is that team going to help solve? And if I can articulate the value of solving that problem with this tool, then I can certainly convey why the client, why PwC needs to make that investment in building out that team, building out all of the observability that goes along with that.
So much of this can feel overwhelming right now, but it doesn't have to, and you certainly don't have to go alone, right? You and I were talking about this before we kicked off. And I said, finding the right team, going together, right? Now to next together. And so I'll simply say, we have until 2030, everybody. Like you can't do nothing, right? But if you're feeling anxiety or you're feeling tense about all of this, take a deep breath, and reach out to the right and reach out to the left because your peers and colleagues are right there with you. We're all in the same place at the same time, and we've got some time. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Thank you, David. And observability is certainly a topic that I think is important for us as we deploy new tech in the field. And certainly we hit on a number of ways to think about that from agentic AI in the conversation. I brought up a number of points about being managed and people and you, David, is talking about sort of that there are stresses in this industry. I think observability doesn't stop with agents.
Hmm.
And September is a very important month for me personally. September is Suicide Prevention Month, and as you mentioned, David, there are a lot of stresses in this industry. And stress isn't good or bad. It just is a sign that we're being challenged and we're growing. There's a lot of opportunity. The pace of change is increasing. We've spoken about that a lot. Sometimes that has all the benefits in the world to create opportunity for folks, and that's amazing. Sometimes that also isolates people.
Hmm.
It also makes them feel not included, question their worth, and from somebody who's been impacted in their family by suicide and watching what happens, what I will say is our job as leaders, humans, colleagues, is to make sure that we're also observing our people. Where you see them being isolated, where you see them checking out, where you see them struggling, don't be afraid to reach out. Have just a simple conversation. Let them know that you care about them, that you note their struggle, and that you want to, help them become sort of the person that they can become. And I'll extend this to your listeners. Um, Obviously, I'm not a therapist, but I have a lot of experience here. Folks are struggling. My email's open. Happy to talk. I think I think it's important that we all as leaders know the value of our people. And that means that we don't just cast people aside when they're struggling.
No, and I think that connection with somebody else. There's no shortage of people in our industry. It's unique that way. Our legal technology space, our legal innovation space is, I just think, filled to the brim with leaders and up and comers who are willing to give back. We've all been there before. I certainly would not be where I am today, but not for, a number of people reaching up to me and saying, you can do it. You can do it. I mean, we all have moments of doubt. And I've had people just, I mean, Monica, I'll just give a shout out to Monica Bay, God bless her. Um, uh, she was the one who said, you can write, you can do this. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. She would constantly say, you can do it, you can do it. Browning Miranda. I mean, there's just so many in the world that have said you can do it. And that just little bit of encouragement, sometimes you need that, but you need to leave yourself open to that as well.
Yeah.
So Nate's email, my email, if you need a connection, if you need to, connect with somebody. What I love to do is, as so many people know, is convene and connect to those that you need to meet in your careers to get from now to next. So Nate, thanks for the authenticity.
You're welcome, David.
On
And
this.
it's amazing. I mean, you pointed this out. It's the small little words. And I have a ton of examples of the same thing in my career, where unexpectedly people just gave me that little boost of confidence, and it's done wonders. So I appreciate that from you as well. And yeah, it's been a great conversation.
Thanks, Nate. I appreciate it so much. I'm gonna play a little. I usually ask for the song. I'm gonna choose a song. You gave me permission to choose it before, so I'm not hijacking. I said, "Hey, do you know Hootie and the Blowfish?" And you said yes. And we're talking about being. We're talking about blindness and observability. Hootie and the Blowfish. We've got a great song called "I Am Blind." I go blind. I go blind. And so
Yeah,
that's what we'll exit with today. Nate, I can't wait to see you on the road next. I know I won't see you in New York, but hopefully I'll see you in Atlanta or an event on the road real soon.
absolutely. Looking forward to it. I appreciate the time today and the topic. It's been a great conversation. Thank you, David.
Fantastic. Nate, here's I Go Blind by Hootie and the Blowfish. If you enjoyed this show, be sure to give us a like and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your shows. And if you want to take your career from now to next, never eat alone.